All right, everybody. Good Monday afternoon. Victory Monday rolls on, and it rolls on with a look at Pro Football Focus. We like to look at their gradings, we like to look at their numbers, their metrics, and just kind of get a feel for how they say we did. And once again, I want to remind everybody that these PFF videos, these Pro Football Focus videos, are not meant to imply that I think Pro Football Focus is always right, nor do I think they are always wrong. I just think that they do interesting work and it's worth looking at. And sometimes they may get it right or wrong. Sometimes I may agree. Sometimes I might disagree. But they're trying. I certainly know that. They're certainly trying. And there's something to be said for that. So let's take a look at the offense in this video. We're going to do the defense later today. Starting with the Seahawks offense. The grading is mostly blasé, if we're being honest, right? There's a lot of like yellow. And yellow is the color of blasé. Not a lot of stuff that was critically bad, but not a lot of stuff that was particularly good. Our highest graded player on offense was Geno Smith. Something to think about because, once again, despite the fact this team is on a 3-game winning streak, despite the fact that the team is currently in first place in the division, I am once again getting comments from people saying that Sam Howell should start, which I don't think you would see on any other team, any other fan base in the NFL. So I'm not even saying that I totally agree with this assessment. I don't know if I would say that Geno Smith was our number one graded player in this game. He did miss a couple of throws on that drive that ended at the half-yard line, where if he doesn't underthrow DK and if he doesn't miss Fant, he probably would have scored a touchdown well before all that drama. But I do think he played a pretty decent game. I do think he played well. And I'm guessing Pro Football Focus weighs things that happen in the fourth quarter more. So when Geno leads us down the field for the game-winning touchdown score, that's something that's going to weigh heavily in the mind of Pro Football Focus. So 75.9, and it's pretty much all because of the passing plays. He made some big passes in this game, by the way, and that's probably another contributing factor. He was able to push the ball down the field a few times, and when he did, it mostly worked. More on that later. Second place was JSN. Makes sense to me. He made some really important catches in this game, good production, and these last several games now, he's different, man. He's not the JSN he's not the JSN from before the Rams game. That JSN was just another pretty decent player. This JSN is a difference maker. This JSN is somebody who lifts the team up. DK Metcalf, 71, third place. Although it's interesting because a big reason why he got graded well was because of his run blocking, which was elite. And that really stood out this week for the Seahawks because they did not have a lot of good run blocking in this game, as you can see, but or at least not good run blocking grades. 88.7, so that would be great if we could get some good run blocking from DK Metcalf the rest of the year. Because, like I said, we're not getting good run blocking from the receivers, and that's part of the problem with this offense right now. Charles Cross, above average, mostly because of his pass blocking grade. Run block grade was bad again. Join the club, Cross. I mean, you are not alone. And Abe Lucas also got a okay grade, mostly because of pass protection. I will say, I look at these pass protection grades and I'm hesitant to, drink the Kool-Aid on them because we were max protecting so much. There were so many plays in this game where we only had like 3 guys running routes. So it's easier to pass protect when you drastically outnumber the number of pass rushers the other team is sending. So I am a little bit reticent to believe these grades are straight up. But nevertheless, not bad from Abe Lucas. Walker and Charbonnet both kind of occupy the same average area. Charbonnet gets an excellent grade for his pass protection. So, that's the Charbonnet that I know. And also on passing plays as well, just in general. Walker, this is one of his worst games of the year by PFF grading, mostly because he didn't really do anything as a receiver, it looks like. Almost a sub 40, actually. And neither guy was particularly effective on the ground. I will say in this game, I felt like they probably did what they could. And the lack of production was completely on the offensive line. But it is interesting to note that PFF did not give them that benefit of the doubt this week, and they have before. Lockett, average. Seems about right to me. I don't think he's doing anything wrong. He's just a very limited player now. AJ Barner, about average. Not much to say. Mostly dragged down a little bit from the run blocking. Actually did some nice stuff as a pass protector and on passing plays. The penalty hurts. If the penalty didn't happen, you'd probably be looking at a above average grade. Cody White, Jalen Sundell, Laviska Shenault. Nothing to say there. They didn't play enough. Noah Fant, bleh. Just kind of average, below average, whatever. Not much to say there. It's his first game back from an injury, and we still need him. We still need him out there. And I'm going to give him a little bit of time to work back into the swing of things and maybe get up to the point where he's actually an above average, above replacement level player. Laken Tomlinson, bleh, which is good for him. Sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but at this point, when he gets a 56.4 from Laken, I feel like okay, that's fine. And then you've got a collection of players that were just kind of outright below average or bad. Pharaoh Brown, not good. I think he dropped a pass in this game. That was probably a big problem. Bobo continues to be a completely irrelevant player, not even run blocking well, which if he's not run blocking well, he doesn't need to be playing. Oluwatimi, bad grade for him. There were some plays where he got worked, so I totally get that. And honestly, at this point, my inclination is to say that while Oluwatimi belongs in the NFL, I'm not sure if he should be a starter. And this is a position we need to seek to improve in the offseason. Now, maybe that improvement is to just let Christian Haynes play center. But I don't think Oluwatimi should be looked at as the long-term center at this point. He's just not good enough. You would need to make the other four positions on the offensive line really good. And then Oluwatimi could get away with being below average. But it's easier to just get a better center. And then Lomia. Yikes. I got to be honest, watching the game, I didn't think Lomia was that bad, but Pro Football Focus thought he was that bad. And this is this is worse than Anthony Bradford. This is worse than Christian Haynes. So now I will grant you that the grade got dragged down significantly by the two penalties. And that's probably a big factor here that needs to be taken into consideration. But, yeah. Not good. And I'm going to be patient with him, but at the same time, I'm going to say, this guy beat Christian Haynes out in practice this week? Wow. That says something really bad about Christian Haynes. And if not that, it says something bad about the coaches. So that's the offense, the overall grading. Let's drill down a little bit from there. Geno Smith's passing chart. Again, I like to look at two things in particular here. I like to look at how much is he able to push the ball downfield, and you see in this game he actually did. He had 5 attempts, more than 20 yards down the field, 4 complete for over 100 yards total. So a lot of his production in this game came on deep shots, and he hit them. And that made the difference in this game. Aaron Rodgers had a hard time hitting things deep down the field, partially because his receivers couldn't catch, but there's that. And then the middle of the field. Mostly this week it was the short middle of the field. He had 8 attempts in the short middle, and then 1 in the intermediate middle, and then 4 behind the line of scrimmage middle, and then nothing between the numbers deep down the field. He did use the sidelines a little bit more, a lot of stuff over here to the left short side, but overall you can still see that the Ryan Grubb offense is sinking in process. Results, I don't know. Results, I'm not so sure I'm into that. But he did have more attempts outside the numbers than inside the numbers by a small margin this week, which is interesting because you're playing Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, 2 of the better outside corners in the league. Okay, rushing direction stuff. I like to look at this every week to get a feel for what worked and what didn't work. And routinely, I end up getting like contradicting information, and I end up unable to really glean anything of meaning from it. So, like this week, you can actually see that when we ran the ball off tackle and off, I guess that would be what, like D gap, between Cross and Tomlinson, we actually had a decent amount of success. The failures came when we ran between Tomlinson and, not Tomlinson, Oluwatimi and Lomia, which we only did twice anyway. And we actually had a good amount of success running between Lucas and Lomia. 25 yards on 3 carries and the touchdown. So maybe that's something to look to pursue next week. But the main areas where things didn't work so well were when we tried to run outside. Averaged negative 3.5 yards per carry when we tried to run outside the tight end on the left, and then 2.5 yards per attempt when you tried to run the ball outside the tight end on the right side. So you're looking at this and you're just kind of like trying to figure out what this means. I think these slow developing running plays are too predictable, and defenses are just collapsing on it because they know it's coming before the snap. And they probably know the inside stuff is coming before the snap too, but at least that stuff happens quickly. All right, so that's really about all I can pick up from this set of data. Again, we don't get big sample sizes when you're looking at week by week, but the thing that stands out to me is that there are some things here that consistently worked. Our longest rush when running between Lomia and Lucas was 10 yards. And we averaged 8.3 yards, so it wasn't like one long carry blew up the average. Not at all. Moving on now to pass protection, some of the pass protection stuff. Again, the grades are good. The only 2 players that had a meaningfully bad grade were Oluwatimi and Lomia, which you would expect. They're the weak links on the offensive line right now, especially Lomia. He's a 6th-round rookie. Everyone else was either irrelevant because they only pass blocked a few times or quite good. But in order to achieve that, we had to live in max protect, which harmed our ability to actually throw the ball. Charbonnet stands out especially here because he actually had quite a few pass block reps, and he did very well, 89.1. No pressures allowed of any kind, so really good. Walker as well, by the way. We got to give it up to Walker a little bit. 80.9. This is not his strength, and he did it a lot in this game. He had to, and it seems like he did fine. Now, this is where the grading and the numbers kind of conflict a little bit. Charles Cross actually got beat up in this game a little bit. He allowed 1 sack, and he got beat bad. 2 hurries, 3 total pressures, and yet they gave him a really good pass block grade. So that is something that we as fans are just going to have to interpret subjectively, I think. I don't think there is necessarily a right or wrong answer here. So, I still think Cross is a really good player, but over the last few weeks, we have seen some issues. Some issues we didn't see early in the season. And I'm hoping that over these last 5 games, he can close strong. But if he continues to play the way he's played the last few games, I don't know if that's a guy I want to give a massive pile of money to. I don't know. I think so, but I'm not as sure as I was a month ago. Tomlinson, 2 hurries allowed. Pretty reasonable. Again, graded out decently in this area. Lucas allowed a sack and he allowed a quarterback hit, but they graded him out decently. So it's worth noting, by the way, that 2 of the sacks were put on offensive linemen. So that means there was 1 sack where they did not blame any one particular blocker. I think it was the 4th down from the half-yard line. But I don't know how you put that sack on Gino. I think they're putting that sack on Grubb because there was nobody to block the blitzers on that play. So I think that was just a situation where they said, okay, it's nobody's fault except for the guy calling the plays. And run blocking, yeah, I got nothing here in terms of the overall play because nobody except Metcalf stood out positively, and a few guys did stand out negatively. But the thing that's really, really weird here, and the thing I really do want to draw attention to, look at how much gap we ran. We ran almost exclusively gap and almost no zone. That's fascinating. That is not what's happened all year, and that is not what I would expect based on the talent on this team. So maybe they're just trying different things to see if they can find something that works. But then I look at this and I'm like, well, it didn't work. Look at these grades. Look at these scores. So I think you got to go back. As much as zone wasn't working well either, it looks like this might have been worse. All right, that's it for Pro Football Focus on the offense this week. See you guys later. Go Hawks.